To really get where Arissa LeBrock is going, you have to understand where she came from. Born on July 24, 1993, to action star Steven Seagal and actress model Kelly LeBrock, Arissa's childhood was anything but normal. Her father was one of the biggest action heroes of the 80s and 90s, widely reported as a seventh Dan black belt in Aikido, whose movie persona was built on legitimate, bone-crunching martial arts. Her mother was a superstar in her own right, the iconic face of Weird Science and the Woman in Red, a staple of 80s glamour. But after her parents' very public divorce in 1996, Kelly LeBrock made a choice. She famously bailed on Hollywood, moving her kids to a quiet ranch in California's Santa Ynez Valley to give them a life away from the spotlight. This ranch life instilled a different kind of fight in Arissa, and while she did follow in her mom's footsteps, building a successful career as a plus-size model and starring on the reality show Growing Up Supermodel, another part of her heritage was calling. Not the movie business, but the real-deal combat sports behind it. Arissa began seriously training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, building a genuine foundation in martial arts. This unique mix of runway model and mat-savvy grappler made her an interesting prospect. And in December 2019, WWE came calling. Arissa was invited for a multi-day tryout at their world-famous performance center in Orlando, Florida. This was the golden opportunity. The WWE PC is where legends are made, a place designed to test the toughest athletes on the planet. With her family name, modeling background, and BJJ skills, Arissa walked in ready to prove she wasn't just another celebrity kid. She was a fighter. The WWE Performance Center tryout is a meat grinder. It's a grueling, multi-day ordeal of intense conditioning and in-ring drills, all supervised by top coaches like Matt Bloom. This is the one shot for dozens of hopefuls, from former Olympians to indie vets, to make their dream a reality. Arissa dove in head first, ready to earn her spot. But this is where her story takes a sharp, painful turn. In a devastating blow, Arissa got hurt shortly after the tryout. While the exact details have been kept private, the result was a significant injury that brought her wrestling ambitions to a screeching halt. Just imagine that. You decide to chase an almost impossible dream, leaving a successful career behind. You push yourself through the most demanding physical test of your life, standing on the edge of a new future, only for it all to be snatched away. The dream wasn't lost because of a lack of talent or heart, but because of one bad break. For most people, especially someone with other options, that would have been the end of the story. It looked like the wrestling world had chewed her up and spit her out before she ever really got started. What came next was a period of darkness and doubt. The momentum was gone. The opportunity had vanished. For years, the story of Arissa LeBrock the wrestler was just a forgotten headline. In a moment of incredible honesty, Arissa later gave a chilling look into her mindset during that time, admitting, "I had become comfortable in the darkest, worst place in my life." Think about that for a second. It's one thing to be in a dark place. It's another to get comfortable there. It suggests she had surrendered to the idea that the dream was dead. The fire that drove her to the ring had burned out. But behind the scenes, a different story was about to begin. Just when it seemed like her dream was buried for good, the phone rang. The call was from one of wrestling's most respected figures, Dustin Rhodes. Known to millions as the unforgettable Goldust in WWE, Dustin is a master of reinvention, a longtime AEW veteran and respected coach, and the son of the legendary American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Most importantly, he's revered for his wrestling mind and his passion for coaching the next generation. Dustin saw past the injury and the famous parents. He saw an athlete with a story that was far from over. He reached out and offered Arissa a second chance, inviting her to move to Texas and train at his school, the Rhodes Wrestling Academy in Austin. That phone call was the lifeline she needed. It reignited her passion. In her own words, she knew it was time for me to give every ounce of passion within me to professional wrestling. So she made another huge decision. She left her life behind and dedicated herself to learning the craft the old-fashioned way. The Rhodes Wrestling Academy is a different universe from the polished WWE Performance Center. It's an old-school dojo built on hard work and respect. There, you're not a famous name, you're a student. You learn how to take bumps, you learn ring psychology, and you learn how to command a crowd. Dustin Rhodes didn't care who her father was. In his school, you earn your stripes with sweat. Under his guidance, Arissa started rebuilding herself from the ground up. Dustin praised her progress during an appearance on Sports Guys Talk Wrestling, acknowledging her background but focusing on her work ethic. She's come off of modeling in California and things like that. We're working with a personal trainer, and she's trying to get everything. All her ducks in a row. She's doing a great job, but this is only the beginning for her. He saw the hunger to prove she was more than a headline. He saw a wrestler. After months of intense training, her moment finally came. In March 2023, Arissa LeBrock was ready. She graduated from the Rhodes Wrestling Academy and was booked for its student showcase, her official in-ring debut. Now, let's be clear about what this was. It wasn't in a giant arena under WWE or AEW lights. It was in an intimate venue in Austin, Texas, in front of a small crowd of hardcore fans who know what it takes to get in that ring. This was about earning respect at the most fundamental level of the sport. When she stepped through those ropes at the RWA showcase, she wasn't Steven Seagal's daughter or a former model. She was a professional wrestler who had overcome a brutal injury, battled her way out of a dark place, and rebuilt herself from scratch under the watch of a legend. The online commentary that followed this debut is what really started the buzz. Wrestling YouTube channels and forums picked up her story, framing it as a tale of triumph over tragedy. While it wasn't a debut that shook up the entire industry, it made a real impact in the online communities that follow wrestling's future stars. They saw a story of pure resilience and were hooked. Dustin Rhodes himself put a stamp on it, famously stating, "She's going to get better and better. Pretty soon the whole world's going to be talking about Arissa LeBrock." A statement like that, from a guy like him, carries a lot of weight and has fueled the excitement about what's next for her. Since that debut, Arissa's journey has been one of steady growth, continuing her training and appearing at RWA events. She has proven that a famous name isn't a free pass. In fact, it can be an even heavier burden. She is redefining her family's legacy in her own image, with her own grit. The path that started with crushing disappointment has turned into one of the most compelling comeback stories in wrestling today. The story of Arissa LeBrock is far from over. It's really just getting started. She's laid a foundation built not on who her parents are, but on her own resilience. She took the hard road, turning a career-ending injury into a character-defining moment. The question is no longer if she belongs, but how high she can climb. With her unique look, legitimate training, and the mentorship of a wrestling icon, her potential is off the charts. So what do you think is next for Arissa LeBrock? Will her journey lead her back to the global stage of WWE, this time as a fully formed competitor, or will she join her mentor Dustin Rhodes in AEW and shake up their women's division? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into the most incredible stories in wrestling.